Hi, my name's Warren Thompson. Thanks for sending me this audition opportunity via casting net Australia. Okay, so I hate doing these self tapes. It's really confronting, but I prefer doing an audition face to face. But anyway, it's a big brand, so you got to be in it to win it, right? So bear with me while I introduce myself and give you a quick rundown. I think the first thing I want to say is in regards to Kellogg's itself, being out on the road and 30 plus, you don't really get time to actually sit down like you used to and have a proper breakfast with cereal and all that kind of stuff anymore. However, now it's all about the piccolos and double shot caps and that type of thing. But I do have a story about the whole cereal thing, and I don't know if this is relatable, but I'll give it a shot. As an immigrant, I was born in South India. Don't ask about the Warren Thompson name. We're Anglo Indian, so we're like half Indian, half British kind of thing, and our heritage goes back to like the old East India Company when they first came into India. But yeah, so with the Kellogg story, back then, like being of Indian background, school breakfasts and stuff, like because we weren't part of the actual mainstream Indian culture because we were a bit of a mixed race. We didn't quite like sort of like ate the same stuff they did, and I remember like when cereal and all that first came out, like back in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. It wasn't a common mainstream thing for like Indians to actually buy. So this was like I remember watching the ad on telly. I can't remember the ad, but like I remember pestering my mom and dad saying, why can't we eat cereal for breakfast? And back then there wasn't any different kinds of flavors and things like that. Kellogg's was just like, the normal Kellogg's, like you get cornflakes. So this was a special treat. So I had to do everything, jump over backwards, this, that, and finally, like my parents got me the cereal. And I remember taking some into school one day, and the kids absolutely went mental. Let's just say, like, I became the popular kid real soon. Yeah, so like everyone knew that I ate this for breakfast, and like the first thing that you got to school was like, "Oh, did you bring us some? Did you bring us some?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Open the box, and within 10 seconds, there's like 20 hands that come in. Wait, and it's all gone. But yeah, I do remember having it. And back then it was like Kellogg's. It was just the normal straight Kellogg's milk and a bit of raisins, I think, or yeah, sultanas. I'm not sure, but I did have them with it. And to this day, like whenever I go home, sometimes to visit mom and dad and stuff like that, like if it's a late night and they've got something in the kitchen that I'm not happy with, the first thing I go to is mom actually still keeps a box, because me and my brother turn up and we eat it. So it's like I go to kind of things. So yeah, so that's pretty much as legitimate I can give you a story about my experience with Kellogg's. But yeah, now in terms of my professional side of things, like as you can see, I'm in my high vis. I apologize because I know that there's different descriptions for the role there of like the everyday guy. This is not a costume change order. I'm just in my truck. On my way to do my deliveries for the day. Um, a while ago, I decided to sort of take up acting, and in this very truck, I did a Google search on how to be an actor in Sydney, and then found this thing called Star Now, and I basically put in my details, got some headshots done, and the last 18 months has just been a bit of a whirlwind. Like I've been lucky enough to like work, had work in commercials with like Adam Gilchrist and Kathy Freeman, which was a big commercial ad for the Aussie Australia Day Lamb commercial in 2017. I had to pinch myself when I was on set and doing that. I've represented like all the four major banks, including Combank, Westpac, Aussie Home Loans. But I think I got my big break when NRMA put out one of these casting things in the newspaper and said, like, bring your family. We want to know what makes family special. And I think out of thousands of people, like we were lucky enough to be one of the 5 families that got picked to represent NRMA Insurance. And yeah, like, I'll be driving in my truck on the way to work or doing my deliveries, and then a bus would rock up and I'll see my picture on the board, and it was just a bit of a what the moment, But one thing I would like to stress is, and I'm not making this up, just to be considered for this project, which I would love to be in, because Kellogg's is a big international brand, and something like that on my resume, you can imagine, would only lead to bigger opportunities. I do make it a point to like ask directors after I've worked with them and the commercials out and things like that, as to why they picked me amongst other people that turned up. And the general consensus was that I represent the everyday guy, be it like a mechanic or an office worker or your regular driver like myself, which I am in real life. And people relate to what I say when I say it on camera, because I tend not to come across as being too. I don't have any professional training. I've never trained. I've not been to NIDA and all of those fancy places, but I do generally love everything about movies and production and that side, and photography and that side of things. So that's basically the general consensus. So like whenever there's a casting out and they're looking for an everyday person, I've been lucky enough to represent that person, because that's the feedback I've basically been given so far. So anyway, thanks for checking out my first audition, self tape audition. That's the term, self tape audition. That's right. Hope you like it, and if you would like to cast me or whatever, all my details are on project on Casting Networks or on StarNow/Warren Thompson, and my contact details are in as well. So thanks for the opportunity. See ya.